Okay, so after making the decision that I need to come up with smart targets for almost all of my heroes, I decided that I should play a bit of Sigma. So I got a very good Sigma map in
Welcome to
Circuit
Circuit
Royale.
for Battle.
So I decided that I'd play a bit of Sigma and I'd see if I could get some good footage and try and get a VOD review out of it, or just see what mistakes I was potentially making. I don't think this is a perfect example because I do feel like um, overall I'd had a very, very good game, but the rest of my team were just underperforming. But besides that, I'm fairly confident that I can potentially learn something from this. So, first things first, it's important to try and understand um, what my role as Sigma is and how to achieve that based off the team comp. So we have a Moira, which does tend to mean that I should be playing a little bit more brawly. Also, I'm just noticing it now. Here's this over here. My Hanzo isn't actually going to be with us for the start of the fight, and my Cass is actually quite late to be getting here. Which I didn't recognize at the time, but me and my Ana were definitely here, and the Cass should make it in time. But my role as Sigma is to control this high ground, using my shield and chain my abilities to be able to deny space as much as possible. Obviously, the high ground allows me to aim a lot more efficiently. It's hard for them to push because all of this space will be controlled by me. Everything pretty much this entire road here and then spanning down to around about here is controlled by that high ground there. And then once they start pushing, it's my job to also then kite them through this space here and essentially try and drain as much resources as I can, waiting for either a DPS or a support or myself to find a pick or big value with an ability to be able to win the fight. So my job here is to just control the space on this high ground and to not allow them to just roll through. Although the only issue here is that my Moira is going to be playing low ground all game and will therefore just be allowing the enemy team to run at her.
Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
But in any case, the high ground should provide a fair amount of value. I'll just go back to my POV. It's a big hit, and then I hear that the Genji's behind. The Genji does get a big dive on us, but I think missing the rock is fairly poor there, but at the same time, we still do get picks, and we do kill both of those, so we should just be able to go back to controlling this high ground. I should just stay high ground here because there's no way that we're going to be able to chase them because they would have fully reset at this point. I throw my shield there just to make sure Moira doesn't die, but rather than fading up to me on high ground, she decides to just fade back. I mistime the rock. No, I don't mistime the rock. I miss the rock again, which is a big issue. Diva does get antied there, which means that you do have the ability to go forward a little bit, and Reaper was low there. I should maybe just back up. My cast does overextend a little bit, so I have to then try and peel for him, but I can't save him. Continuing to back up here is just the play, making sure that we don't overextend. It's really important, a big headshot. I do wake up the Diva immediately, which could potentially be poor there, but my answer's fine. Overall, I'm just contesting cart here and making sure that we don't push the wall with a nano, that doesn't mean I can go aggressive. I should turn around onto the Sojourn and just finish her off, because I know that she's very low, so I just hit her with the 2 direct. And then I should follow up on the character there as well. I see the coalescence, so I go for the flux and I do pick up the character. The character does die because of that. I shouldn't have landed in the just trying to stay alive as much as possible. I should realistically target the Moira there. I don't actually know where that Moira went. I still seem to be targeting tanks a little bit too heavily, which does mean that these fights are going on a lot longer. Obviously when their tank is diving the back line, that's not good. My team refused to follow me up to high ground, so I had to back off, but then Moira still wanted to play the side, which obviously is not something that I Sigma long-range tank can do. It's all about just trying to control that doorway. If they push through there, then that means they're dead, so you need to be careful of that. I was just trying to make sure that nobody could try and push my backline. I do miss both my ult and Moira there. If I had hit her, she maybe dies and that would be a fight win. My Moira goes down because she's too close to the enemy. And that
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
This point again though is very good. It's very good for Sigma, because once you take this space you can just control this high ground here and see everything, especially with the cast and the Hanzo that we've got. I should have heard the Reaper teleport behind us and known that Ana was going to get flanked by him.
Nerf this!
Barrier unsuccessful.
Again, the Reaper's just finding picks in the back line. I do try and back off and try and help the Kiriko, but Kiriko does just run away from me. I'm close to ult here, so my focus should be to get the Mercy, because Moira can fade out of it. I know that Reaper doesn't have Wraith because I've just seen him use it, so my plan here should be to go into the backline and try and flux these three. I could probably get all three in one flux as soon as this Wraith is over. So that should be my focus. I do, however, just miss the flux because I didn't target any of the targets. I didn't aim for either of the targets. So going forward, I should be looking at using my flux to target people who can't get out of it. Or people who can't just completely negate it. I miss another rock there as well. I feel like so far it's just my issue is a lot of poor aim has led to a lot of deaths. It's a big pick. I should rotate to the left.
Actuating the barrier.
That D.Va was definitely in a poor position, so I was right to try and punish her. I'm interested to see where my Ana is playing here and if I could have positioned my shield better. No, Ana does just wander into sightlines. As soon as Ana dies, it does just break down. I maybe should have once we got the pick here, rotated down main then, rather than trying to worry about the flank angle, because once D.Va had lost her mech, or once the Reaper was dead, I should have known what was going to happen. Again, going to high ground here is the right play. Controlling this high ground. Pretty much control that, obviously. Extremely important. I do rotate safely to my team here. I was calling
No one
to
to save you.
The barrier appears. The barrier has fallen. Crossing the barrier.
So gone. I do then again make the exact same call to go back to the high ground.
Can anyone man?
Nanoboost is ready to deploy.
But again, nobody follows and my Zen does die despite having my shield.
By the dragon.
Help me.
But
Chew on that.
60
Actuating the
seconds
barrier.
remaining.
Everyone feeling better? You can't hide. Target in sight.
My ultimate is ready.
Cannot escape me.
Nanoboost
The
is ready to
dragon
deploy.
30 seconds
that's a poor rock,
remaining.
he doesn't
Deine
follow.
Hexe ist da.
I should be saving it.
The enemy is returned to life.
As soon as she uses boost, it's like
Barrier initialized.
Sigma Comp just help kite
10
to
seconds
kite them
remaining.
through the high ground.
This ends now.
Because yeah, I do
Your father, get in there.
want to so close down. I know that I can.
Let them up.
Although maybe staying high ground there would have been correct.
I will consume you. The universe sing for mine.
Round 1 complete.
Stay alive for me.
Score 0.
All in
to
all,
2.
I'd say the biggest issue
Switching
so far
sides.
has simply put just been my aim. I feel like a lot of kills could have been followed up on, or a lot of
Initiating
poor position
match.
from the enemy could have been followed up on. Mesa high ground wasn't awful. Sometimes I feel I maybe could have been positioned more to absorb damage, especially considering that at that moment, roughly around about here, so a little bit further back. I don't gain too much damage by kinetic grasp. I was dropped there again as well.
Good thing you ain't alone out here.
A taste of
I used kinetic grasp for that.
Actuating the barrier.
I had a full shield, and if I hadn't wasted kinetic grasp,
what's the rush?
I would have been able
Numbers up.
I would have potentially been able to live if I'd just
Team
focused on
kill.
taking the full fight rather than focusing on that.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Although overall that situation was extremely because of the position that my entire team was taking.
The enemy is returned.
Potentially some of the information I'm getting from this is a little
Round
bit
one.
skewed.
I do not wish to.
Ready
Play
for
Sigma on
battle.
attack, yeah, it's the exact opposite of what we want to do on the defense, which is we want to push this high ground, we want to take this high ground, and once we control it, if we can avoid taking any deaths, we essentially just control the entire point and can get a free cart push all the way around here, and even using the staircase up here, which makes things harder for the enemy, we can control this sight line, and using these barriers here, we can, and this statue actually, I can allow my DPS to poke in and out, and I myself can poke from here, and just slowly but surely take ground until we find a pick, and snowball the rest of the fight. So the aim of this push is to just take this high ground, or control, take that high ground and then use that high ground to control the rest of the point from there.
5, 4,
For aim
3,
anyway.
2, 1. Attackers
Barrier appears. Field deployed.
That kinetic
Escort
grasp
payload
is
in
fine,
motion,
it denies a bit of
stays
overhead.
in
Immortality
motion.
fields expired.
Excepting a number of circumstances, of course.
Let's take them out.
I hear the big force that right there.
I wanted to
Barrier is
But he is
splintering.
correct. I do race drop there because I'm just trying to swing targets into the
Round of healing.
reason. Whereas I should have just focused on the switching.
Actuating the barrier. Catch you.
Don't get them in.
Mortality field.
Obviously losing the army early is but getting them from Moira.
The enemy returns. A statistical improbability. Now is not the time to rest.
Move the payload.
The payload advances. Adore.
I do try to encourage my team to rotate and take high ground. Obviously stay high ground again, despite
Let the barrier initialize.
I go for a jump down. I should shoot that thing because he is asleep, but
Excellent. Keep the payload moving.
what I can say. This time I do get shield
For the
but
Nanoboost administered.
Locked in.
if you get 2 picks here, the use of coalescence
The answer remains nebulous.
from the enemy, I do believe wins them the fight. My Ana
This
overextends
ends
again.
now.
There.
Get in here. Actuating the barrier.
Deine Hexe ist da.
The barrier cannot withstand much more.
I do manage to peel my cat out of harm's way. Now going into this fight I have flux. My target for this should be the Mercy and Sojourn, trying to avoid the Reinhardt, or alternatively, considering his position, I should maybe just simply focus the Reinhardt alone, because the Moira is out of position to heal and so is the Mercy, so we could immediately get a pick off on the Rein, or force Wraith out, Wraith slash Fade from the Moira or Reaper, and we can flux those as well. Although I do believe that the best target right now in this exact instance would be to go for the Reinhardt, despite his high HP pool. Although I did also feel that some of my team wouldn't be able to follow up on this. I can't remember exactly where I go for the flux. Although still, the primary 2 targets should always be the squishies, so the supports, but in this instance probably the Mercy because she's got no escape method. This would be a prime opportunity for us to go take high ground. Although the Moira had just faded into me, I could have got a free flux there. Which again, I'm not considering how to
60
use my
seconds
ultimate
remaining.
efficiently and assessing who to take. I throw the shield up in order for a rotation. My cast tries to 1v1 a Reaper. We do end up getting a pick on the Reaper. I could go for the flux here. And I do pick up the Moira, but I miss the Mercy just about. Because of that, we don't get the kill.
Helden sterben nicht.
30 seconds.
I can't save my team from the shatter. Because I'm out of position and not positioned in front of them.
You cannot escape me. For you.
10 seconds remaining.
I should have been primarily putting the flux over the Mercy though. Predicting also where she might want to go.
Overtime.
My Genji gets the contest and I go up to high ground. Take this.
This ends now.
My cats, then Ana. So they do often to use it. And
Gale the Mahal.
Its hands.
This potentially is a bit of bias from me because I might be seeing my gameplay as I might be favouring myself and blaming others because it is my own gameplay, which is why I do prefer to have a second opinion. So I will consult Mick on this. But I do feel to a certain degree there wasn't much more that I could do in that. I do, however, have an aim trainer which I'd like to work on, which I think I'm going to use
Traveling to
as a
Havana.
method of improving my.
Why seek answers when we do know the question? A fateful trajectory. Return to me.
Grandmaster into top 500 players, so it is a perfect way to warm up my aim
Inevitable, as
against
all
all
things are.
different kinds of heroes. It focuses on how a Genji moves, how an Ashe would move in high level games. And using this, I can definitely figure out the best way. I can definitely use this to improve my aim. So I believe implementing this with just 15 minutes of this before I start my sessions, before I start playing, would be a great help, and a great way to improve my aim.
So there is method in this madness. Universum singt for mig!
I also maybe need to come to understand the range of flux a little bit better, because sometimes I feel I do potentially miss the flux because I don't understand the range of it. Sigma is a very, very individual character with his aim type.
Withdrawing
So
the
that
barrier.
could also be a factor into why my aim is a big letdown. He's also got two different
All
types
things
of
are in
projectiles,
order.
which can make things a little bit more difficult. The usage of
What awaits us beyond this
floor
flame?
bouncing orbs, and understanding the range that your orb has and the splash damage that it applies. The direct hit and indirect hit are also two factors to consider.
The universe does not weep when the sun sets. Actuating the barrier.
In any case, I'm going to speak to Mick about this, and I will see what his opinions are and whether or not he believes that it's the aim.
Surely there is a more elegant solution.
We're live.
Okay.
We're on air.
Alright, so that's no time to make a joke then. Got it.
I mean, it's time. We've definitely
No. It's not time not time to get cancelled.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how offensive the joke is.
Oh, it's gonna be quite offensive.
Well, yeah, don't do that then.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like a college stuff. So.
Right, okay. So I did just look at your other game. One question I was gonna ask about that game is, was that an early game or was that like a late game? Sort of like in your play session?
That was early.
It was early. Was it like your first game kinda early?
That was first game, yeah.
Okay, I thought so because you look incredibly not warmed up. I looked at it and I was like, this movement is very forced. It's not very smooth. I think it would do you good to just warm up a little bit before your first
I did
comp game.
in the aim trainer.
Play like a deathmatch. Like look up on the thing. Look up a deathmatch and then sweat. Like just play and like really sweat for kills and like aiming and like everything. Just go for it. And then what I would say is, given the fact that you play Saya quite a bit right now, go for a tracking hero. Like go Tracer or Soldier or something like that, and then just sweat on those characters because the aim style is similar. Which is the most important, right?
Yeah.
Because it looked. At first, I thought you were on controller because the aim was like so stale. It was like very smooth, but also very slow in reaction. But when you said you were not on controller, I was like, okay, well then something is up here, and I think it's just a function of you not being fully warmed yet. So I'm assuming this game, given the fact it's a bit later, the mechanics aren't gonna look as bad. Then the other thing was you had a tendency to do the thing again where you go very close with Sire, and I think often you died because you didn't just use your distance basically, and often you had the energy but no bubbles, but you would go in with that energy to do something with that energy, but you went so far into them with no bubbles that you're now not utilizing your range for safety purposes. Like against the Reinhardt, for example, like your advantage against a Reinhardt is that you can fight him at range and you can keep that range, and that will force him out of position eventually. Um, and then also because you didn't use range and you didn't have bubbles, you were just a really easy to punish target a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I think that those are like the let's call them the major ones. There's a lot other you could go into, but I think we just write that game off because I think a lot of it as well is just the fact that it was the first game and you weren't fully warmed up yet, and we all have those stinker games. It was a stinker. It was a stinker. That's what it was. Right, Sigma. First question, as always. I'll let it run. Why Sigma?
It's a high gun based map, and I would say Sigma is probably the best high ground
Mhm.
tank. I mean, it's definitely the scrim here, so
Yeah. What other than high ground? There's another reason why Sigma.
I mean, if I'm gonna be like going off the scrim stuff, he can kite really well because he can chain abilities, but I'm guessing that's probably not why. What are we looking
No.
for?
If we go up a little bit, if we take this sort of from a bird eyes perspective, why would Sigma be good here? Just have a think about it real quick, and then we'll give you the answer.
Range.
Range kind of ties into it. Range is definitely, but like, why not?
Space.
Why not? Why not a Why not Orisa? Orisa has range as well.
Orisa can't protect her team.
Yeah, we're getting into the to the meat of it here.
She
Sigma
doesn't.
is really good at holding one angle.
Okay.
Sigma is good at holding one angle. And this map, if you think about it, there isn't a whole lot of flanking opportunities. You can't pass through mid. You can't really pass through like that house. You can't pass through that house. You can kind of pass. This is the first point where like there is more than one angle because you can hold the high ground and you can hold here. But like for most of the push from the beginning through these spaces, it's one angle. And Sigma can stuff it. Sigma can back off. Like you can back off chain abilities to give up space and gain time. And remember, when you give up space and gain time with poke, you have as a poke you have a completely flat, like almost linear power gain. Like your power is only going this way the longer a fight lasts, whereas other compositions will go something like that, and then eventually you win. Terrible drawing, deal with it. So that's why Sigma is good here. Also high ground holding, but if it was just high ground contesting, then
Diva. Obviously, so
Monkey, Diva, they are very great at taking high ground. Also, we're really quickly gonna do this. Um, they're perfectly fine at doing that. So that's why Sigma is good here. Okay. So when we know that, when that's the baseline, how do we play this map then? How do we actually utilize our hero the best? Can you give me like a starting play here? We're gonna go very theoretical on this one. Give me a starting play. How do you start?
well, we start on the balcony where I'm starting on right now.
Okay, we're starting here. And then what's the play? What do we do?
We're poking down main.
Poking down main.
Chaining shield, trying not to use kinetic grasp as much as we can.
So we'll call it chaining, yeah.
So we'll probably just like burn bubble a little bit, burn shield even. That's like that's all that we're gonna do there. Not all the way, obviously. Like maybe a little bit under half, and then when they try and push us, or when they start pushing cart under, then we rotate onto the balcony that Anna's on, onto the bridge that Anna's on, and then we can poke from there, and then we carry on rotating until we kill them, and I can expend my rock when somebody starts to get dived, or when a key ability like deflect comes out.
Okay. So we're chaining abilities, rotate to gain time and regain resources, and we're burning shield.
Yeah.
Or burning whatever they have. We're burning their resources. I think that's a better way to put it. But so we are. Hang on. Also, I'm going to change the color because I do realize that's difficult to read. Scuffed coach incoming. All right. We burn their we're just gonna call it burn resources actually for safe concerns. Burn resources.
Rotate.
Rotate to gain resources. I'm just gonna say gain resources because time is a resource.
Okay.
And then we are
Would we be chaining? Like
chaining.
I mean,
Well, chaining helps the rotation and the gaining of resources and like utilizing resources for sure, right? Chaining. Okay, what else?
poking.
Poking. Okay. So these let's just go with that, right? That those are the four horsemen of poke. For now, at least in this game, right now, right here. Okay, we're gonna use this right here. Actually, I don't even know if I can move it. Probably can't. We're just gonna use that as a guiding ruler to how we should play this map, sort of win conditionally, right? Okay. So already based on that, without even starting the game, what do you think a first sort of mistake here is?
Honestly, I'm just looking at where my Moira is stood, and I'm feeling like Sigma was not the play. I mean, I get like that's not what you're
No,
asking.
no, 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 no. Like, I'm not worried about what your team is doing. I'm worried about what you're doing.
What's my first mistake? Are you asking what my
Okay.
first mistake is?
Yeah. What's your first mistake? The mistake is already happening, so I guess you can assume it's a positional one. But what is the mistake here that I want to?
Oh, you want me to play further up?
Yeah, exactly. Because we are playing for time and for poke and to build our ultimates, and we can chain abilities. So what I want you to do is I want you to play on this high ground here, or like on this corner here. I don't want you to get cocky because this first place it's incredibly difficult to solo hold this space without having like these people with you here, right? Especially since your Hanzo is also all the way over here. I'm assuming he's gonna start moving soon. But so going for the like if you had like a scrim environment, you just hold like right. That's fine. Don't peek. Just hold. Gain a little bit. Chain abilities to go back here. Hold here for as long as you can. Chain abilities to get to here. You want to hold this location and this location for the longest possible. This is just an opener, like just to gain a little bit. It's very insignificant. And then essentially you're holding these locations as long as you can. And then the last point we get back into either holding corner, because at this point, if they've pushed under, we obviously want to hold some sort of cover space. If it's even longer than that, then we're at the drop recontest, right? Those are like the first points of the like these are the key takeaways from the first point. Those are our map goals, so to speak. All right. So let's get into Sigma and let's take a look at what actually happens then. Also, just to be clear, this position is not bad to hold. Like, it's not like a bad position. You can get a little bit more by just starting over there and then going back. A little bit of extra poke, a little bit of extra sort of like making it more difficult for them to just take all of that space for free.
Yeah.
Because like right now, they're already in diving position. If they wanted to dive.
Do you think,
Eat the orb.
but you reckon that's a worthwhile eat?
Yeah. The orbs do like a significant, like the total damage is like, what is it, like 150 or something like that, 120.
It
Like,
gives you
so if you eat,
125 over health. No,
yeah,
it
yeah,
gives you a little bit under actually. Sorry, but it's like
yeah, because you're already taken some damage from it, I guess. Um, but the point is like you're gonna make the Moira gain her ultimate slower, which Moira gains ultimate so quickly. Anything you can stop that Moira getting her ultimate is good, and also you take less damage and there is less pressure overall. So just eating that is always going to be a good thing. It's the same as Diva. It's like so on Diva you always eat orb. On Sigma you eat orb if you don't recognize that there's gonna be a time frame where you really need your eat. Like let's say you recognize that a Hanzo is about to push really hard on you, but given the fact that this is the opening play and everyone is like in these positions, you're not in immediate danger of anything like where you need to use grasp. So get that early eat in. That's quite all right to do there. You're gonna have your eat back up by the time you're gonna need it anyway. Another thing is there isn't much reason to not shield. Like, why are we not shielding at all? Give a shield here, and your McCree can now poke a bit more safely from a better position, and you don't take as much damage. You're preventing them from gaining ultimate charge.
yeah.
Do that. Oh, hang on. Professional coach.
I'm not paying you, so you're not professional.
Hmm?
I'm not paying you, so you're not professional.
Yeah, I know, I was joking.
I'm aware. Yeah, I get demolished by that Genji. Like he just outplays me there, to be fair.
That's okay. I would say a bit the approach for the fight was a bit scuffed, but you got what you wanted, so we're not gonna critique it too much. We're just gonna let it be. Try not to stuff shields into people as much. This is the second time I noticed this. The issue with stuffing the shield is that you're minimizing the effectiveness of said shield.
I was trying to shield for my Moira.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. You're realistically not gonna do much with that shield anyway, because here's the issue: if you put the shield, let's say the Moira is standing here, and you put the shield like in here, then they take a step to the side, and that shield no longer exists anyway. Like that shield right now, when it's in them, is very, very, very avoidable for them. Like they can just avoid it. Like you see how little they have to move before this shield doesn't really exist anymore. So therefore, use the shield. Another thing you could do is think about where you sort of want people to play, right? You want your DPS to play in like a location like this or in a location like this, right? These are good shield spots. If you don't want to use the shield for yourself and you don't want to set it up on a high ground where like a DPS can use it primarily to block cooldowns. So look for important cooldowns that you want to block with the shield. Think like almost like an eat, like you're eating stuff, right? So like a good sort of like if you want to do shield stuffing, think about snipers. Shield stuffing snipers is okay sometimes. It's very situational. but it's okay. Like Hanzo, Sojourn, Widow. Like if there's a Widow just like, sitting on let's take a common Widow location, right? Like let's say that's just a Widow sitting over here, and you don't like that the Widow is getting value in that position. We shield stuff her like right here. And it's like, okay, well, the Widow either have to break that shield now or rotate. So she's effectively out of the fight for a little bit, and that can be advantageous. The only time where I would say you have to be a little bit clever about it is obviously if you have a team of other pokers down here and they are poking you on the high ground and you're taking a lot of heat on the high ground. You obviously don't want to dedicate the shield to that one target when you're taking so much damage you can't stay in position. So if you can stay in position, we can think about how to use the shield a little bit more creatively. If we cannot stay in position, i.e. we're taking a lot of poke, we have to use it for ourselves and for the core of people wherever they try to hold to prolong that. All right, make sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Gotcha. All right, let's continue. Would like to see a bit more rock use. It's okay.
I tried to time it properly. She didn't drop the matrix there. I'm playing too far forward, I know.
Yeah, what I was going to say here is right now we're not playing for this fight here. We're not playing for this fight. We're playing for the contest here.
Yeah.
So all you're trying to do right now is poke and live long enough for this Moira to get back so that we can have a realistic fight here. Rather than having a very unrealistic fight here. Because so like shield up, back. Then we go wait a little bit, maybe use a grasp, shield up. Right? Chaining. We're chaining right now. We're not trying to do anything else other than that. Until Moira is back. If you can get a pick here, that is kind of huge. But remember, like right now you have a shield on 700 HP, and you have 2 squishies behind you. We can call it 3, but she's in cover. But there's 2 squishies behind you that are a 1-tap or like a 2-tap or some random poke plus a random shot away from being dead. And you do not want that to happen. That's the last thing you want right now. Because otherwise there is no hope for you to actually contest this. Good. I would have said you could let that shield ride a little bit, but rock. Just rock. Because if you rock, you minimize a little bit of poke because no one can shoot while they're rocked, and your rock does a significant amount of damage, which will help you build ultimate as well. And rock is not a super long cooldown, so unless you know there's something coming up, let's say you're in the Sigma versus Sigma like matchup, and you know he has flux. Yeah, exactly. Like unless you have a play in mind, like blade is coming up, I need to rock the blade. Get more usage out of it because right now you're holding a cooldown that will help you do exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to slow them down. You're trying to minimize the amount of resources that your team is having to invest, and you're trying to delay damage taken and just stop their approach, right? Get that done, especially if you see like a diva that is like very fixated on another target here. Rocker. Right?
Yeah.
You do. Good.
I don't save the cast there, unfortunately.
It's a little late, but it's okay. The idea is sort of right. Just gonna say. Again, I would have just immediately eaten that up because you're not in any kind of danger of throwing. If you eat that orb will give you enough overhealth, and overhealth doesn't give as much ult charge. It's like 50% ult charge basically. And we are now going very far back. It's going to be very, very difficult to hold this position because we're a little bit afraid here. Good chaining. I mean, like chaining up on crowd control.
Yeah.
Just gonna say we do have to worry a little bit about the payload, but
Shouldn't let her go there. I feel like my aiming on Sigma is really not it.
I was just gonna okay, well, just I'm looking at this fight. There's a few tips for aiming with Sigma I can give you, but let's take that more near the end because I don't think aiming is the best thing to coach, like because aim will just kind of increase naturally, to at least a certain degree by just playing. And also aim is not what's gonna give you the most in this game.
Okay.
But we can go over a little bit of like general aim technique and general sort of tips and tricks. I respect the I can't hit her, I'm just gonna rock her play. Man of culture right there.
Rock is so much easier to hit people with.
I do the exact same thing. It can be a mistake. It's not a mistake when you've already won the fight, but can be a mistake. I do the same thing. I respect the well, I can't hit these for like I can't hit this to save my life. I'm just gonna rock her.
Okay, now, could you pause this, please?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to talk myself through this right now. Okay, so in my eyes, it feels like it makes sense for us to be going back and taking high ground and poking them as they try and rotate. But the issue with this is, A, we've got somebody coming back from spawn, which I'm only now recognising. But also, they've got no cart, which is kind of what was slowing them down from just going full pace through main in the first fight. So maybe it would just be better to just stand at the end where my Moira stood and then kite from there, although they can drop on us from high ground. I feel like standing on stair, I feel like us going and taking high ground right now, which is what I was calling out for my team to do, but every time I told them to do something, they said no, and said that they thought they knew better.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept on calling, let's go high ground, let's go take high, and I got told, don't overextend.
Okay, so I think that's a bit of the sort of like metal rank philosophy of we must protect the payload, all of us, at all times. Because theoretically, let's say you were like in a scrim environment here, like the only reason for not just setting up staircase and high ground as they're coming back, because this is the best space for you to stop them coming back. The only reason is C9 fear. Like if they have a Sombra, because this is very much within C9 territory right now, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, you're right. Like I would say if your team is not ready for it, like if your Anna doesn't care about you playing here, like don't do that because you're just gonna end up feeding anyway. You always have to at least somewhat play to where you have like within effective range of your team. But the effective range of all of what you have here is like that still gives you options. You have options right now. Like staircase is a decent option. Corner is a decent option. Playing a bit wider is an option. It's not as good of an option. It is an option. I hope you can see, but otherwise I'll just hang on.
I can say.
There you go, like that, right? It's there are options here, and you can chain back to payload from good positions, and you can chain from good position to good position. Like you can chain from there to there. You can chain from here to here. You can chain from fair to there are good opportunities for you to take time, increase the length of the fight, maximize the protection of your shall we call it backline question mark Moira? Backline, quote unquote. I think she's just actually doing a damage job, to be fair, which isn't too bad.
Oh no, she is doing a lot more than just a damage orb. Maybe not in this fight, but the entire game was spent. Am I the tank or is Moira the tank? Maybe I give up space too early there. To be fair, because the D.Va's not even back in the fight. I definitely could have poked. Well,
When a Reaper plays that aggressive, I would usually start being a bit worried about Blossom.
yeah.
Now here's the thing. All your free abilities can royally screw up a Blossom. Because if there's only like people on your side and the Reaper's in front of you,
You
shield, done.
shield.
If
Grasp.
if you're on top of him, grasp, done.
Okay.
If you're like next to him but not directly on top of him, rock, you cancel the ult. There's so many ways you can do it. As long as you decide which one is going to be the best fitting for the fight.
I do none. So I'm just gonna put that one out there. He is about to go and ruin my day.
Okay. Because I was going to say right now, okay, he's at 82. I actually didn't even check what he's at. I just kind of saw that and was like, okay, I'd be a bit worried about that. The thing is it doesn't really matter. Like every single thing is good. Obviously, the best option is to be able to sit right on top of him and get the eat off safely, because it gives you just 1,000 over health. You're a raid boss for a little bit, and it saves your rock. The other best option is rocking. Rocking is because that just flat out cancels it. Yeah, like it's done. The issue with rock is that you don't have to be very far away from him before his time to kill on a squishy is too much.
Yeah,
Too low or too little.
cast
Yeah.
time. You have to kind of predict when he's gonna do it and
Yeah.
start casting the rock before it's popped.
The biggest issue with shield is the fact that it gains you no advantage in dealing with the fight right afterwards, because it doesn't do damage and it doesn't give you overhealth, and also it only protects one direction. So if he's just in your team, everyone on the other side is still dead. So those are the matchups that you have to sort of like gauge in your head when you think he has that, and you have to just decide what play am I going for, right? And that this has to be premeditated every single time. Like if it's not premeditated, it's rarely gonna go well, unless you're just lucky and it works out.
Backline Moira, right there. To be fair, actually, I mean, the fight was already kind of lost at that point.
Yeah, it was.
Are we calling my fault or?
I think your biggest fault is the if we take it from bird perspective.
I don't really target anybody. In fairness.
You kind of do, but it's kind of wrong. Am I going too far back? Yeah, I might.
Oh, what are you gonna say? Target D.Va.
No.
I go after the Moira and step away from the main fight.
We're targeting a target right now that is, first of all, in kind of a bad position because she doesn't help her team right now. She's just offensive, right? She can fade back to backline at any moment, and she goes inside, and we're just kind of hoping that our bounces will hit her. While we're not paying much attention to stopping this approach.
I'm not using shield much at all. That's what I'm really noticing.
Yeah, like shield up here, grasp maybe even. Look at the Reaper. We should be looking at the Reaper if we know he has Blossom. I don't know if you had a gut feeling at this point that he might have it. It should have been there. And then like try to stop this approach. The thing about this Moira is that she's in a bad position right now, and if you force her, she's just gonna go into a better position. Just let her be that damage Moira that does nothing for the rest of the team right now. Let her be. She's not posing any immediate threat. Shield is okay. This is a huge damage source that splits them out, like into different locations. And if you land some damage on them, like either here or here, this Mercy is forced to like decide, have an option here. The Moira is so far out. This is really good territory now. If we follow up on this dragon, also I've chosen a god awful color for this. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I like the color.
Yeah, but it's like blue and blue. But if we decide to do some damage in here, we can make this fight very hard for them to stabilize. Especially given the fact that we have a McCree that's already gonna go and do whatever you're doing here. We have a Hanzo and an Anna that can land abilities that can further make it even more difficult for them. Like this right here is a chaotic fight for them, and we need to capitalize on that.
Maybe recognize the backline Moira there.
Mm-hmm.
Why is she there?
That's a massive mistake on her part, but you know, I can't do much about that. I can do much about your mistakes, though.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, it's. I mean, to be fair, they invested Blossom without having to, so.
Shield dance there. Shield dance for you there, main tank mech.
I like it. Do you want you want a little praising for that? Beautiful,
No,
beautiful play.
I'm getting pretty good at the shield dance, to be fair. I used it.
Well, yeah, you got some boogie. You got the boogie down.
I used it in Fortnite the other day.
Oh boy! All right, Fortnite Pro.
They didn't know that I had the Winston skills. Their Reaper is behind us right now, by the way, which I'm about to learn.
Okay, I think now I reckon that instead of me telling you the positions and the plays, I reckon you give me a rundown of it. Second point, Circuit Royale. Is it better or worse for us?
There's no real kite position. Like, there's no way for us to kite across high ground. But there is also, if we win this fight, then it becomes kind of impossible for them to take B, unless they invest serious amounts of ults and one of them pops off, or I like slip because there's that little gap in the billboards by Diva. But as of right now, we don't really have any space, and now we have to kind of push into them, and then they're
Okay.
gonna fight back. So.
I like what you're saying here. I like what you're saying a lot. So what you're saying is, if we win this, then we can hold this.
Yeah. So investing
Which
ultimates
is
here isn't bad.
investing ultimates here is definitely. I think this fight is very very important to us, because I think you're exactly right in what you're saying here. In that, if we can get that positioning, we have ability to both kite, and also we don't really need to kite because they're going this way, right?
Yeah.
We're kind of already kited. Like we're not kited because we have the high ground we can use, but we're also kited because the way they want to go is they either go that way or they go and contest directly, which is going to be very difficult for them given the fact that we're running Sigma.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's an important thing to sort of like get down. I think in general on tank, I think understanding map win conditions. I like to use that term a little bit. I think understanding what we're playing for, sort of positionally, is really important. And then there's always the macro or the micro as to how we do that. Okay. You guys are here. You're in a bit of a pincer. It's not exactly a pincer, it's just an off angle at this point. It can become a bit of a pincer. How do we deal with this? what is the play? What is the idea? How do we deal with this?
Well, my shield's up right now, which is kind of preventing Sojourn from doing anything. It's 700 HP, so she's not going to burn through that. I think it takes like 3 mags for her to burn through that. Plus a D.Va, so it's like probably going to last, I'm going to say like 7 seconds.
Yeah, but we have a shield up to allow us to stabilize.
If I knew that the Reaper was behind us right now, I'd be throwing shots at Reaper to just force him away.
Okay, but we don't know the Reaper's there, so we're not going to play for that. What is one thing we need
Mercy's
to?
our position. Is the big thing right now. So probably just rock Mercy and then get the rock AWP combo. And I'm sure
Okay.
one other person can follow up on that.
I was gonna say call Mercy because Mercy is heavily out of position and Moira's pushing card. But what is one thing I do not want you to do now?
Drop shield.
That's one thing. Another thing I don't want you to do now. Think about it. Look at your guys' positioning. What's missing?
What do you mean? What's missing?
1, 2, 3, 4. What's missing?
Wait, is somebody coming back from spawn?
Kiriko. Kiriko's not here.
Oh,
So I don't want you to walk out before you have the assistance of Kiriko from one of these positions. Right, like around here. I don't want you to walk out. Because you're in a position right now where you are fairly good at just you're fairly safe together here, right?
yeah.
You're stacked up. You can have the healing from Anna from like pretty easily, and the shield from you. You're a stable core right now, and also everyone in this stable core is poke. There is no reason to get close to them really. So just kind of
Shoot.
we're gonna assume you don't know the Reaper because you don't. But poke, slow this down, slow it down as much as possible. Poke, hold. Kiriko's here. We now have an opportunity to go on something, to do something, to reposition ourselves a little bit more, spread out, take more angles, take more space. But we don't have that option right now. So what I would like hate to see is you walking forward into this, which is further sort of backed up by the fact that if you do that, you open up a very easy play for the Reaper to flank, even though you didn't know that. But correct play is correct play no matter what. Okay.
I'm so sorry, Mick. I almost get the punish on the Mercy. In fairness.
Do get a pick here.
The Reaper does get pinged behind me. I don't think I even noticed that.
Q goes back. Okay. I think it's not too bad, is what I'll say. And Kiriko is fairly fast to get back to fights. At this point, given positioning of the card, and given the fact that we are not winning this,
Just back out.
back out. Live. Because if you live right now, you have a fair recontest at the end.
Yeah, I've got
If
Flux.
you-
We've got Flux Noon coming back.
Exactly. You are at current point trying to save 2 targets because your thinking is like these targets need to be alive. In reality, you just abandon them and let them die because you're not saving them anyway.
Yeah.
Because
But
are
if Kiriko comes to me there though, when I'm holding grasp over her, I can
there's a
grasp
chance
over her,
that you can
but she just gets lost in the source and runs
She-
away from the team. So
she can also E and heal like the core of you up. But the thing is you can't make that play happen.
no.
Like in reality, prolonging the life of this Hanzo is just gonna prolong when you can recontest. Same with Kiriko. The Hanzo do live.
Yeah, Hanzo
Good.
do live because Motor Giga Brain.
Motor Giga Brain. Except play for your survival and then once you feel like you are absolutely safe,
I thought,
then
500 HP plus 700 HP shield plus kinetic grasp plus if I save Kiriko and Hanzo, that should be a very, very easy spot for me to get out because I should realistically Kiriko should be looking around for where do be Sigma, and instead Kiriko is thinking I want to 1v1 a Reaper. No, to be fair, she does kind of get pushed into it, but does she TP? Okay, fair play, she does TP. I was very much hating this Kiriko by the end of the game there. Everything that I saw them do upset me.
yeah, as long as you don't put yourself in a position where if the Hanzo dies and the Kiriko dies, then you are a free rush target,
Yeah.
then it's okay. Let's call it that. Also, for some reason, the audio has just gone weird. Is it weird for you?
I can't hear anything.
Doesn't matter then.
I can't hear anything at all. Oh
I think
dear.
I'll.
Oh dear.
It's thrown me off for a bit. Hang on. Oh, it doesn't matter, I guess. Okay.
I honestly thought I'd hit that Sojourn. Oh, okay. I thought I didn't get the kill. I thought I wasn't going to get the kill for a second.
Flat in a nutshell.
Running for my life and Anna jumps past me.
70 HP Sigma. Senyata is just like, don't give a fuck. And it's just like, don't give a fuck. What is happening? Oh, I need to do, the ones that Flats do of like reviewing bronze games.
Yeah.
I need to do some of those. Like, I'm gonna see some stuff. What is this? Why have both of the supports just decided that Sigma 70 HP being absolutely demolished by a Moira is somehow okay?
That Hanzo's my saviour. I'm still not being healed by Anna, by the way, at that point. Like,
It's even less. You dip down to 60 something odd.
does she start healing? Look, I lose orb. So at this point, it's literally just at that point I was just being healed by my shield regen.
Yeah.
Zen takes orb off of me, and then Anna just decides not to hit. I'm guessing she was reloading, which is fair enough. But like,
She might have been, but I also don't think she noticed you.
no, oh no. Mid fight, she definitely did not notice me. But
No, she walked straight past you.
okay, so
Which,
I've done
yeah.
exactly what I said we weren't. The exact opposite of what I said we should do, which is we should play down main. Oh,
Mhm.
that kills so bad.
In all fairness, you weren't really safe and recollected in this fight until very late because of the Moira. So I understand that pushing up in time has been a bit difficult here. I would say, however, given that is the fact,
We should have just been playing back rather than pushing up.
yeah, exactly, because like you can hold, like the thing is you can hold this location here and poke a bit, and you have the cover of this thing and this thing. But like as soon as they're like they're like as soon as the floodgates are open and they're just rushing past, like you all of a sudden have a very 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 poor positioning here. And then you just need to react to that a bit quicker and fall back.
Can I just get your opinion on something? Could you go back and watch the Anna's POV? Or just like watch her in third person and just like tell me, is it my fault that she dies?
That's a great anti-nate. No, she's horribly out of position.
Okay, alright, I was just making sure.
Like I mean, like if we take it in Bird's perspective here, she knows that this is the angle that you've decided to hold. We can argue whether or not you should probably be holding more sort of here, because that gives you that angle and it gives you this angle.
I've already got the range anyway, so I don't need to be. Yeah, I don't know why I seem to like a
You
Valorant
seem to
player.
limit yourself a lot, like with range, like getting really
Yeah,
close, and now you're forced to take the fight like that.
I feel like a Valorant player sometimes. Like I'm trying to find like how like getting the trick shots, like the orbs off the wall to try and hit stuff. Sometimes I
Hmm.
don't know. I feel like I'm trying to do that. I don't know why I'm always trying to do that.
The thing about Overwatch is like sometimes the simple answer is just the answer. Like you don't have to, like you're not trying to play to make the game harder for yourself. You're trying to play to make it easier for yourself.
Yeah. So just pull them
Um,
back with long range character lol. Like
yeah, except like the thing here is that right now, if you're stuffing this choke, you've basically said, okay, they can do that or this.
but if we play back around about where the car is and either angle that they push, I'm gonna have a sight line.
Exactly, and you have the range for it as well to put it in, and also you've created more distance, which means that in order for them to actually deal with you, they have to push up further into you, and also you've opened up the escape route a lot more. You're actually closer
Well,
to
it's
the
not.
next sort of
They can
kite point.
funnel us in where we're stood right now,
Exactly,
though. Yeah, they can.
they can run you over. They
Yeah,
can
just
bulldozer
collapse on
you,
us.
like just yeah, exactly. So, um, but honest opinion on the Anna here, like if we look at what she does, she goes for an aggressive nade, which I would always say going for like if we're just coaching the Anna real quick, going for the aggressive nade here,
Yeah, the nade is good.
bellissimo. But then deciding to stay in that position when she knows that the core of people are playing up here instead, like up here, and especially you being a major factor in her survival. Um, this swinging out far, and then like this is obviously her own fault. There is an argument to be made that
That
you
I
should have
could have
maybe played
positioned
in
better.
you should have maybe played a position more so for, but I don't think this position would be good for you either, because that just opens up the other way, right?
Yeah,
I think allowing yourself to use sort of this angle and holding that, especially more towards the cover side, is a good idea. Um, so I don't think the Anna is if this is what it's about. I'm assuming it's Sigma no protect me. Um, I don't think it's fair to blame you for that one, no.
what I realized afterwards was that I was the only one. No, I wasn't the only one. It was me and Criff, me and the Zan, Kiriko, Moira, who were in team chat, and I'd been making call-outs the whole game, and then I checked afterwards, and I realized it was only me who'd been in there the whole game.
Yeah.
But
So what I do when I'm on tank and I feel like I want to do shot calling is I check who's in voice chat in the like start of the
yeah,
match,
start the match.
because then I know if I need to cater my communication towards the Anna and the Sen, or if the supports aren't in voice chat, if I need to cater my voice chat towards the DPS.
Yeah,
Because if I only have the DPS there, okay, well, it's a little bit more like watch out for this flanker. It's a little bit more like focus this target. If it's like Anna, it's like or Senyata, it's like okay, they have Graph coming up. Save trans, like we can trans the Graph,
yeah.
something like that. Like I can cater the communication a little bit more to what is available to me.
In fairness, I still feel like saying go high ground is an everyone shot call though.
It is, and that will the unfortunate reality of that is like you have to exploit the high ground to the point where you get to the elo where the high ground is just used.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in plat 2 right now. Although my win rate on tank is fairly high right now, I feel like if I grind a little bit, like we're looking at diamond 5 pretty like soonish.
I
But I
missed
don't play a
diamond.
lot. Hmm. Um, I feel like if you just like abuse that sort of like knowledge, then on average you're gonna see a return on investment and just drag yourself to where it needs to be.
You can be happy with me on point B.
I was gonna say one thing. One thing that I've sort of found on point B specifically
Oh no,
on
C for Echo,
attacking
sorry.
CCC, but I know what you meant. Point 3 is I found that on attack and sometimes on defense, this is just there's not this is just for me, and you don't have to use it, of course, because I know you're not that kind of player. But because I'm fairly decent at Reinhardt, this part of the map is where I'd make the swap to Ryan. Yeah, I know you don't have to play Ryan. Like it's not like I don't technically think that Reinhardt is a better hero here. I just think that it's the best point for him, and if you're like significantly better at Reinhardt,
Yeah. Alright.
then this is the point. I think you've seen other people swap to Reinhardt here as well, right?
No. I've seen Zarya swaps. I coached
Yeah,
him.
Saya is a good idea actually, because at this point you get a little bit. This is the only part of the map where you have more options. There are options here. Like
What?
on most other parts, it's so linear. There is not a whole lot of choice in how you have to attack.
Yeah.
There's a lot of choice in how you have to defend, but there's not a lot of choice in how you have to attack. Um,
So, okay, I've got a few questions. Did you watch San Francisco Shock play last night? Was it last night or the night
I
before?
did not. I did not. I have not been able to watch Overwatch League. I've been busy during those hours
Yeah.
recently, but I want to watch a bit more Overwatch League. What are you gonna talk about?
So Huge, you know the window. If you go on over to see, okay, not that one. No, like further into the point, where the Reaper stood. Yeah. Okay, so now go drop onto the low ground. Yeah. So they're playing the Sig comp. They're playing Bapzen, Sig, and then whatever. It's like Widow Sojourn or like
Sojourn, yeah,
Sojourn
Sojourn.
Tracer. Um,
Hmm.
and Kahuge is sat on the high ground, sat on low ground by himself, and then everybody else is sat up on the window. And the enemy team, I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Shanghai, but it might have been a different game that I was watching. No, it was Shanghai.
So
Sh
we're talking like
yeah, he was there, and then the whole call was up there. Um,
mhm.
and then the enemy team was playing meta, so it was Sojourn, Winston, Kiriko,
Go
Reaper,
Lucio. Yeah, yeah.
Lucio. Why is
By the way,
Kahuge
can
playing
we
on
just
low ground?
appreciate how close I called that was probably gonna be the meta, and everyone was like, no, Saya, Saya. I'm just saying. Anyway,
Why is he playing on low ground when he could be playing on high ground?
um, because if you are playing Sigma up here, um, your effective range stops about here, meaning that it's very difficult for him to get other value than a shield for the team, right?
Yeah,
But here's the thing, right? This is a massive shield already. They can just literally step one to the side. They have all the healing needed up here. The Baptiste shifts and will deal with all the poke like very easily, if you know what I mean, right? But if he's holding like here, you pump resources into him, and the team takes that other angle. Because one thing you want to have in poke is you want to have more angles. You make it very difficult for them to proceed. Like let's say like one Zenyatta is like just peeking over here in an Overwatch League environment. He's dead immediately because the Sigma will have effective range onto that high ground now.
yeah,
The poke core will have effective range pretty much because like Sojourn has a very long sort of effective range with her beam,
yeah,
and so does like a Widow, for example, right? And Zenyatta has a great overview. The Zenyatta can see everything, so that's just honestly to me. I don't know in terms of Overwatch League, sort of like because Overwatch League the game is different
yeah,
at some level. Like everything is very sort of like polarized. Like it's very very much to one end, whether or not this is good or not. Whereas in like tier four, sort of like scrimmage, you can make suboptimal strategies and suboptimal compositions work by just playing to your advantages
yeah.
and your strengths, right? I think in terms of Overwatch League play, it sounds smart, but I also feel like they might get overwhelmed fairly easily against the Winston comp. I don't know how it went. I haven't watched the game. That
I'm
sounds
pretty sure
interesting.
Kaluge got like literally what they did was they said they don't have a Sigma to protect them. Let's just rush them because we've got a Lucio, and then they rushed them and then they won the fight.
That is what I would fear. I think what they did, Chuck, I think that might be a really good sort of like strategy at the level we scrim. We might try that. I think at the Overwatch League,
It's I don't like that's I was just trying to understand. No, actually thinking about it, I think they did win the fight. I was so confused. I was like, why would he do that when there's like a really good high ground for him to just protect his team on?
it's just because he gets less value here.
But
He gets less value.
they could easily just farm the fact that there's no Sigma protector. I was just so confused. Like I needed somebody else's perspective on it, so I wanted to ask you. Because
What did you come? What did you like conclude about that?
I concluded Kaluge troll lol. That was my scientific.
Professional Overwatch League players, they don't know what they're doing anyway.
No, I didn't know. I was like, is Krusty off the goop or like? My thought process was probably though, he's gonna try and take the heat.
Mhm.
Like if he sits on low ground and he stalls the cat out, he can take the heat.
Yeah, he can take the
And
heat.
and
Yeah.
the four people on the high ground will pump as much resources into Kaluge to stay alive, and hope that Striker Funny Lol, Kilo Funny Lol, and Pro
hmm
Funny Lol will do something good.
So what is it that I always say to you to not do at the beginning of a fight? What is one of the big issues you've had?
Shoot tanks.
hmm So if you have two supports, if you have Harmony Orb, if you have
BAP healing,
uh
BAP immortality.
BAP healing, BAP immortality, you can just place on the corner. And like think about the effective HP because a lamp is like 100 HP. Sigma has what is it like 650?
Yeah, 550
Uh
plus
yeah,
minus.
550. Can I grasp? The shield damage will take a little bit as well. They have to be, and in order, like once the shield is up, they have to break the shield or rotate on top of him. If
Yeah,
they rotate on top of him, then all of a sudden, uh, if he's holding this corner and they're on top of, let's say, him, like they're pushing this corner, if they're on top of him, they have all the sidelines onto like the squishies from here. Like they can just pick targets one by one.
yeah,
It's a fairly decent play, I would say. I would say the only way you're gonna realistically deal with it is if you set up a a push or a dive around here with
yeah.
speed and go and overwhelm this part. But the thing is, that can be scouted and communicated.
So
And if
can
it's scouted and communicated,
they all just
you
kite?
literally they just kite. They just run. Like they just run. Because at this point, you're not getting card progression anyway. So I think what they are doing, I think honestly, so you said Shock did this.
Yeah,
I think this is a Giga Brain play by Shock. I think this is smart. You just kite around here, like, and you can, even to some extent, you can still actually assist your Sigma, like even like all the way over here. Like to some extent, you can
yeah.
still deal
I
with it.
mean, let's be realistic. If we trust the Finn and Violet to be able to just land the shots,
Exactly, which is
spread
what I'm saying is like what they're abusing here. They're abusing the fact that they have snipers, and because they have snipers, it's very rough for the enemy team. Who are they playing against?
Shanghai Dragons.
It's very difficult for Shanghai Dragons to make any sort of like peaking errors. Like they cannot peak. If they peak like sort of out of position in a rotation to get to that Sigma, dead. Dead. The heads are gone.
Yeah,
That's what they're abusing here. And there's a lot of room for error. I actually think that's a Giga Brain strat. I think whoever has coached that came up with that.
probably
I
Krusty.
kind of it's probably Krusty. Don't get me going on Krusty.
Good or bad?
Good, very good, very good. He has been like the thing about Krusty is that he isn't the type of coach that will just follow the meta. He invents. He comes up with stuff.
Yeah,
Um, he also felt like in case of goats. I mean, there's not much to invent. It's just clearly superior. So you just follow that, right? But in these days where it's like a little bit more like we're not entirely sure. We're fairly sure, but we're not. I think that's. I'm so happy you talked to me about that. I'm so glad you told me that because that is getting the funny chemicals in my brain going. Um,
I'd like
Cool.
a Crest it. I think he's lost it a little bit now, there. Personally, I mean, now that we've
Maybe.
analysed it, I think yeah, that was probably a really smart play. But I don't know. In my mind, I just kind of thought, well, they just speed on them, and they just speed on the back line, and Kaluj gets no value.
That is overwhelming the backline on high ground is the play. It is the play. But I think you can make that very difficult though.
Yeah, with I mean, when you've
Because
got
the thing is,
such great DPS, it's easy to
with
just
every like composition and every sort of like map gameplay like setup, like every composition and map setup, there are strengths that you play to and weaknesses you try to avoid. So in this case, the weakness you're trying to avoid, and I only really see one, is to just overwhelm the core, like get there and overwhelm them with speed and ultimates that you farmed up. Like that's but if you came up with this strategy, you know that. You know that as a coach that this is a weakness and you go through with the team in scrimmage. How do we deal with that? Where do we rotate to? How do we and what is the call? Like what is the scout? Like is the scout that we know that this is the one rotation that will screw us up? Is the call just rotation happening? Like we've scouted that this is happening, go into defense mode.
yeah.
That is often a thing for teams. So I think this is a bit far up. I mean, he was right about one thing there, and it was die. Okay, to be fair, you redeem yourself there.
I didn't try and eat the coal, by the way. I was trying to eat the Sojourn shots.
Yeah, I know. I think
I changed my mind on which high ground I want to play.
we've gotten a sort of decent look at it. I'm gonna say that we might save the trouble with looking through the attack here.
Hold on, can we just
Yeah.
appreciate that? Can I get a little bit of praise for like? Look at that! I didn't even drop with my flux. Like I knew to float back onto high ground as well.
Let me warm up my voice. Good boy.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. This is going on YouTube. This is going on like this is my college.
Oh, you can cut that out if you want to. You want some praise? You can.
By the way, I'm going to be matching. I'm going to be like referencing your coaching to my coaching to see how good my personal. I mean, that is a very nice shot from our hands. I honestly rated the DPS in this game. I mean, cheap shot was very mid. He kept on just walking into them and dying a lot, which was upsetting me. But
Yep. Okay, so
I did try and move left to grasp for the back, but I think he moved left again, so I just gave up on it.
now I was just gonna say that we're in a sort of like I guess we can talk a little bit about one concept that I don't think you have ever heard about, but it's the infinite situation. I'm assuming you're not familiar with this concept. Okay, so the infinite situation is if nothing changes currently, is this an infinite win situation or an infinite lose situation?
Okay.
And I cannot for the life of me remember which coach came up with this, but it's an interesting concept, and I think it's a concept that just sort of explains how you should be thinking. It's not really such like a big deal. It's not like an important thing like alt tracking or stuff like that. It's not a skill set per se. It's a philosophy.
Yeah.
But what it is that if you look at how the fight currently is going, will you win or will you lose? And if the answer is you win, then you keep doing that. And if the answer is you will lose, then you have to change something so that the infinite situation changes.
Changes to be an infinite.
And infinite just means that if this situation keeps going
Carries
for
indefinitely.
indefinitely, what will the outcome be? And you're right now in an infinite lose situation. Why?
Because my BAP is being pressured out and we've got 3 people on low ground and I'm about to get dived.
So in other words, there's no way you're gonna win this. If this keeps going, your health will just slowly dwindle down. How do we change it into an infinite staple or an infinite win?
I use this really, really funny button that's on the right side of my mouse to throw a shield in front of my BAP and save him, and then walk away.
That's a fairly good plan. I would say you could probably just drop because everyone else is down here.
Yeah, but I want high
But
ground.
you want high ground. Another play is to go around, you know.
Yeah, that's what
The
I'm
thing
saying. I
the,
throw up shield and walk away with BAP.
okay. I can give you another example about the infinite win situation and the infinite lose situation. We're just gonna look at the map real quick. Let's say your team is, let's say they are attacking and you're holding, but you're holding here,
Yeah.
and the payload is like here, and they have 6 people or 5 people, sorry, on this payload. Or watch one moment, and you're holding here, and you don't want to lose this point. What situation are they in then? They're in the infinite win situation. You have to fundamentally stop them from pushing that thing, otherwise they just win.
Yeah.
So the objective level is like the highest level of infinite win versus infinite loss. You're currently in an infinite loss situation because you're standing for whatever reason 5 points away, and
Yeah.
you would never do this. This is just theoretical. They're pushing the payload. So how do you stop that? You stop that using map knowledge and using rotations and all that kind of stuff. But you should always try to think about sort of like the infinite win situation and the infinite loss situation. And if you're in the infinite like lose situation, you need to change the outcome, and that requires action. And it very often requires the action of rotation. Is the easiest way to think about it. Because rotation is what most, like, positioning and rotating to positions is what's going to give you the biggest advantage in any fight if you're abusing it against what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, BAP has the
Exactly.
idea to just drop. In fairness, doesn't get him very far. I see
I
that.
would say you've stabilized this fairly well.
They don't push, so I was like, well, if they're not going to take this high ground, don't mind if I do.
I'm assuming we're just stopping them here. Okay. I don't think I want to go over the attack because I feel like it's going to be a lot of the same case, but just in reverse. And
It's just gonna be a giga roll. That's literally all it is.
okay. So I don't think we're gonna go through that. What I really quickly want to do is I want to give you. Have you ever had sort of any sort of like general advice on aiming on PC?
No.
Okay, it's nothing. You've picked up mouse and keyboard, and you've started pew pew pewing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're gonna do real quick is we're gonna gracefully avoid my career profile, and then we're gonna go. No, you can see it if you want. Then we're gonna go into the practice range.
Yep.
And I'm going to give you a few sort of like things, because the thing about aim coaching is that it is unfortunately mostly just practice. That's what's going to get you the most. But there are a certain things you want to learn.
Yeah.
First of all, on Sigma, we're gonna go all in on Sigma today. It's Sigma Day, you know.
Yeah.
First thing I would always tell people on Sigma, I don't know if you're aware of this, but his orbs drops quite significantly lower than the crosshair. So I would always try to aim a bit higher than needed.
Okay.
Because you see how they arc down a little bit?
Yeah, I see that.
So like you can aim higher and be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, now the next thing is when you're aiming, do you look a lot of on your crosshair? This question is gonna sound weird, but do you look a lot at the crosshair?
I mean, I'm looking at who I'm targeting. I'm not looking at the crosshair. The crosshair is
Okay.
where I'm looking, sort of thing.
Okay, because I was gonna say what you want to do when you're getting good at aiming is you want to look So like right now in this situation, I'm looking to the bot on the left, and I'm following that bot with my eyes.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. Your eye is your anchor. You're anchoring to a target, and then you're reeling it in with your crosshair. That's really important for target acquisition speed. Like you want to look at what you're shooting at, not at your crosshair. Because a lot of people they look at their crosshair and then they drag it until it's on top of like something. And that's gonna give you very slow target acquisition. Okay? That's one thing.
So
The
target
other
target who I'm shooting at before the
exactly
motion's over them, and then drag the crosshair to them rather than dragging the crosshair over round and
literally
forward.
just it doesn't matter where on the screen. So right now I have a target oh wait, I can't really do that, can I? It doesn't matter. Okay. Right now I have a target on the right side of the screen.
Yeah.
I am looking on that target because I have decided that's the target and I'm tracking that target with my eyes. That target is all my eyes are following. And then I decide to like move to the target with my mouse basically. So like I look at that target, I look at a target, I look at this target, I look at that, I look at that. You get the idea. It's not super difficult, it is however super important. The other thing is when you're aiming, so if you pick up your mouse real quick, right? Um
Well, literally. You want me to pick it up? Oh, shit.
yeah, don't just have your mouse like on your mouse pad. Just have it in your hand. Be able to move your mouse.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay. Now move your mouse like left and right.
Yeah.
Notice what muscles you're using there. What is happening.
Yeah.
Notice this sort of like very comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Now move your mouse up and down.
Yeah.
Notice what muscles you're using there.
Yeah.
And notice how it feels sort of less comfortable, right?
Yeah.
It feels more junky, clanky, whatever. It's because the muscles we use to move left and right are the same muscles that we use to adjust our arms left and right, like you normally would. But the muscles that we use to go up and down is more sort of our biceps and our like sort of like wrists. And it's muscles that we're not very comfortable using, at least not in the way that we do. So aiming vertically is more difficult to do in a straight line for most people. Aiming horizontally is fairly easy for most people to do smoothly and in one line, all right? So the biggest thing that a lot of people do wrong is their aiming is like this.
Yeah.
Get into the habit of
Just
aiming like
moving
this.
in straight lines across.
Yeah, straight lines. If you drew a line on a paper, the way you want to press your like crosshair is you want to have your crosshair like straight in a effective height. So if you're playing McCree, right, you're obviously trying to put it in
I
like
think
sort
you
of
mean
body shot,
Cassidy. I
headshot
don't know
height.
who McCree is.
Oh, Cassidy, yeah, of course. It's still difficult for me to get used to saying your name. Cassidy though, right? Use that, and in combination with also when you do that, it's not as important in Overwatch as a game like Counter Strike, but crosshair placement. Because if you're using this corner and your crosshair is like here when you peek, you're gonna have to go up to hit the target. But
Yeah.
if you're already at this position, you don't really need to do much. You can just adjust left and right to the position you need it to be in, right? Crosshair placement.
Yeah.
Those are important things to get better at it. The final thing I have for Sigma is that shooting the floor is a lot easier to hit.
Yeah, because there's like the AoE.
And
There's
also
an
because
easy arc as well.
also it makes the orb go up in a diagonal line rather than just a straight line.
Why does that make it easier?
Um, it makes it easier because it basically maximizes the vertical potential of your shot. In other words, if I'm shooting on this target now, like just above it, right? I can hit above it, but if I hit down like here, it goes up in a vertical line, meaning that on a distance from like here or like here to wherever long it is here, it doesn't matter what verticality, like what part of that line it is, it will hit somewhere vertically on them. Like you can't overshoot basically. And also splash, yeah, splash is right because you increase the distance it travels. Like if I shoot here,
Yeah, so even if I miss, the splash damage is still gonna hit it.
yeah, like no splash damage, splash damage. I think those are good enough to begin with. The only other thing is like I tell a lot of people, there's a few settings, like there's a few things you want to make sure. Like in options, you want to go to you want to have your sensitivity percentage below 5.
Why?
Because you get something called pixel skipping at 5 and above, which basically just it's exactly what it sounds like. It's your movement will skip some pixels. And the reason you do this is because this is like a poorly programmed way of increasing mouse sensitivity. Whereas DPI, like you would rather have a low sense and a high DPI than you would have a high sense and a low DPI. It makes your aim smoother. Um, so that's one thing. The other thing is crosshair doesn't matter nearly as much as people would make it out to be. But if you do want to have a decent crosshair, just something that isn't taking up any space and is visible. So a green or like pink color or something like that.
I do
Small
white.
crosshair.
I do white dot.
White dot. I would change the color actually. It's not a big deal, but the white dot can get lost.
It doesn't.
Like it doesn't happen. You're right. It doesn't happen. But just out of superstition, it could happen.
It won't.
It won't. It does. To be fair, crosshair doesn't matter. So,
I'm really not worried that I'm gonna lose where the center of my screen is because that is all across areas. It tells me where the center is.
I know, I know, I know. I've told a lot of people this by playing Widow in practice range, where I literally just hide my UI, and then I just go and show them like the center is just
You need the UI to change hero.
I do. Where it's like if you start playing Widow, because a friend of mine didn't believe me about this, like if you just start playing her and like shoot like you would normally for a little bit just to get into the hero and then swap to no UI, you should still be able to land shots.
Go on then. I quite like that. That's pretty cool. I mean, close. Yeah, there we go. Like it's literally just framing the character in the center of the screen. That's why when people are like, but what if you lose your um crosshair? It's like, well, I'm not going to though because I know where the center of the screen is. Like, this is different in the sense that like there is literally nothing that you can't find it. But all I have to do is look at the center of the screen.
Yeah, as long as you can locate sort of roughly where the center of your screen is, you should be fine. Which I am terrible at aiming, so take everything with a grain of salt. But
Oh, you still can,
yeah,
but
I've lost it. Yeah, I've lost it. I still, the idea is the same basically,
yeah,
and like obviously the dot is just there so you can pinpoint accuracy. That is where it goes.
no. Go on, select Sigma without the UI.
Oh, that's a lot easier though because he has splash damage and massive
No,
projectiles.
no, no. I said select Sigma without the UI.
Oh,
Go select Lucio first try without a UI.
without a UI. Okay.
Oh well, now you've just looked at where he is, so go turn it off. Okay, now go select Hanzo. You got to do it first try as well.
Oh, you can't.
Oh,
Oh, oh wait, you can. Wait, you can. Wait, you can. Wait. I've. Oh, wait. I naturally graduated towards my main.
Okay. Anyway,
Oh,
so
it's not. It's
no.
not far though. It's not far though. It's not far though. All right.
Okay. So overall though, what are the? Let me get my pan. Let me get my pan out. So okay, we've got. These are kind of the same thing. So I've got who are you shooting? So I'm going to take that off because I've already got focus squishes down.
Mm-hmm.
Would we say I've learned high ground?
I would say we've learned the beginning of high ground, and I would say we've learned squishy shooting. I looked at this. There wasn't a lot of tank tunneling. I would say, well, okay, learned is a hard thing because if you've learned all of this fully, like if it's fully in you, then you are a much higher rank than you are right now. But we're on the right path. It's better, is what I would say.
Okay. So I'm gonna keep
I
going
would
with the squishies though. I'm gonna keep that because I already had two. High ground, I'm confident I can take that one off now though.
Yeah, I mean we've learned to think with high ground. We haven't optimized it, but we've the thought process of high ground first is in there now. Yeah, I would say so.
Win fight, not cart. Is that
I think the tools to do that is a bit lacking, but the understanding of that concept is there. Is that fair to assume?
I would say so, yeah.
All
I'll
right.
gladly take that. Use
You're
bubbles and
definitely.
early charge for poke.
Uh, I would say anything Saya is looking at that one replay is a little questionable.
Okay, fair enough. I might stream after, so you can come stop by. I'm sure you'll end up seeing some Zarya gameplay, and we can be the judge of that.
All right, all right.
Chain bubbles though. See, I still
Mm,
the issue is alright in scrim setting. I know for a fact that I can do all of this, but then it's like we get into a comp game, and then literally that comp game, there was a guy there who was just trying to like command the entire team, and he was like, "Right, Zarya, you're ready to go now. You can go now." And I kept on saying, "No, I can't," but then everybody was listening to him because he was just saying it first. Because obviously, like I can't like just go. I mean, I guess I could have just said, "Don't go yet," but like I didn't. He was being so rude and commanding everybody. I didn't want to do like the exact same thing. So I was just like, I was just sitting back and letting him take a ride. And then every time he said something rude, I just like, well, don't say that. I kept on calling him up for it.
the thing is, in a game like that, when someone takes the comms hostage or like takes the team hostage, right?
Yeah.
What you do is you just go, okay, well, he's doing that. If people are following that somewhat, just ignore him, but try to help whatever he's trying to do the best. So like whatever he's commanding, try to fit your playstyle in so that you can best aid the team in being successful. Because the thing is like if you just focus on like carrying through mechanics and game sense, then um, because you've decided that this is obviously not good. But if everyone is doing it, like one person makes a mistake, five people is a plan, right?
Yeah.
So just try to like sort of like cookie cutter like the entire thing together with your knowledge and try to make it work rather than like because at that point he's holding comms hostage. Don't try to calm something else. Like go with it, you
Yeah.
know? Don't resist the stream, just go with it. And use your better knowledge. Like if he wants an engage like now, okay, that makes sense. But we should engage with the higher ground. So you go for the engage now, but you exploit the high ground.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean here?
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
exact. That's
That's what
exactly
you
what I
do.
was doing with Sigma. The difference is though, it was kind of like they had a really oppressive Farah all game, which also didn't make it easy.
Oh, there's an entire play-by-play book about how to deal with Pharaohs as an individual, and as a team, but we can take that at another time.
Should I have swapped to Diva?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Okay.
Swapped Sigma,
So what notes?
maybe. All right. So we're taking some notes for this.
So I've got 4 spaces, so we can put 4 down, or if you want me to get rid of one of the Zarya things, I can, but
I think for notes this time, um, we think about
should I
holding.
remove chain bubbles and replace it with chain resources, or would you not say that was an issue?
I don't think chaining resources was an issue. I think using the right resources and using them, period, was an issue. I think there was a lot of missed opportunities.
Use shield, yeah.
I think one you can put down that will probably aid you in your tank gameplay in general is take more opportunities to use resources cooldowns
Be more
rather than waiting for the optimal usage. Get more usage because you're gonna hit some very optimal usages and you're gonna hit some suboptimal usages, but it's gonna be a net gain overall versus holding cooldowns for an entire fight and now it's lost.
Okay, so would you just
Be
say
more liberal with cooldowns.
use cooldowns more?
It's a general rule of thumb. Obviously, don't throw bubbles away on Sire, and obviously don't like burn very important cooldowns that you're saving for specific things. But if we're not doing that, gain value in the fights with those cooldowns. Use them.
Yeah, just utilize what I've got, basically, is what you're saying.
Utilize your kit. Exactly.
Anything else that we want to throw in there?
I think other than that, one big thing is think about holding positions. Think about I know we talk a lot about this on different tanks, like how to path and how to hold and where to hold and how to do that effectively. But it is a very, very vital part of playing tank. I think it's part of the reason why tank is one of the most like not understood roles because your job is very, very poorly portrayed by the game. It's not a one-to-one thing. It's not something where you can tangibly say a DPS has gotten X amount of kills. That's his job. A support has saved X amount of people or enabled X amount of kills. That's their job, you know? Your job is very vague because it exists within the map, basically. And there's no way to track it really. Like, well, kind of, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
space is a weird concept. I think for most FPS players, what really sets Overwatch apart is the fundamental understanding of how to hold control and utilize space and take it from people. So I would say get a good idea of pathing and get a good idea of holding, like we talked about with Sigma on this specific map. Try to think about other maps because you kind of want to learn map play for each of the map. You want to have a fairly good model of what it should look like, right? On each map, and it's different on each map. I feel like we've gone through Icon Vault now and Circuit Royale. I feel like those have been done quite well. So I would say our next VOD review, we're doing a different map, so we can go more into map play. Because what I really want you to do is I want you to think about the matchups, what's probably going to happen, premeditate the correct play, and then do it.
Okay. So how am I putting that on one sticky note? Because that was quite a bit.
Holding positions, rotations,
Positioning and rotation.
positioning, rotation, map play. Like put that in parentheses because that's what it is. It's map play in like combined. Rotations and positioning. And sort of like just for you, especially considering what map it is, what space is relevant, what composition they have, because what composition they have sort of decides what your weakness might be,
Yeah.
and what you have decides why that positioning is your strength. Like, why is that a good positioning for your composition? Abuse that. Why is it weak? Like, what can possibly happen with what the enemy is running that's gonna make this weak, and how do we deal with that? How do we counteract what they're gonna try to do? Because at a higher level, they're obviously going to try to exploit what you're doing. Sort of like, how do we get to that high ground? Is it a matter of speeding upstairs with a brawl comp? Is it a matter of diving from down main with a dive comp? What is the play from them basically? How does this fall apart, and how do we counteract that?
So
And I think if you want one more, I can give you one more. Range. Utilize your range. Don't walk into enemies. Unless you're on Reinhardt, then you need to. But
Well,
other than that, do not walk into enemies. Oh, Doomfist, you know, but you get the idea though. Don't walk into enemies on like Sa and Sig.
I'm guessing what your advice would be if I'm playing Doomfist would be to go into
Swap.
spawn, press H,
Yeah. Yes.
and pick a different one.
I am actually at the point right now where I couldn't even really, other than very sort of general macro, I probably couldn't even really coach Doomfist. That's how little I've cared about him going tank. In other words, I haven't actually studied Doomfist enough to be able to tell people very well what to do with Doomfist now.
With that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop recording.
All right.
Okay, there we go.
And
Okay, so I'm just gonna start out by getting 15. No, we won't call it 15. We'll call it 10 minutes maybe in the aim trainer, or until I feel warmed up enough. I'll use Sigma and
Traveling to Havana.
I'll warm up with him. There is a tank, there's some junk coming missing.
Why seek answers when
And then once I'm warmed up, I'm gonna hop into
actuating the barrier? Lost to the cosmos. Barrier initialized. Withdrawing the barrier. Das Universum singt vor mir. Fallen and forgotten. Potential wasted.
There's 3 mercies on the side.
All things are in order. Inevitable, as all things are.
I think maybe rock aim is easier, unlike with the orbs, where orbs are supposed to be easier at long range.
The universe
I think
does
maybe
not
rock
weep
is an
when the
ability
sun
that
sets.
is a little bit easier in close range.
Das Universum singt vor mir. The unbearable weight of gravity.
Fair enough, Sarah.
The barrier appears. there. Assistance requested. Ah, bedankt. I don't think you understand the gravity of this situation. My ultimate is charging. Gather here.
I can't remember how to swap hero. Yeah, okay, I can't remember how to swap hero to deal with the fires. To deal with the fire singular.
Cosmically insignificant. So there is method in this madness.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to kill any of these mercies. They're getting way too high in the sky now. I'm going to wait and look up
What awaits us beyond this plane? Das Universum singt vorbei!
Double kill.
Entity terminated. All things are in order. Like the impression of a dying star.
I'd need to consult somebody else on this, but I think potentially something important to consider when trying to aim with Sigma. Also, there's a method to being able to aim with some heroes, such as I would argue that there's not necessarily like a method to aiming with Sigma, but sometimes you need to know when and when not to go for a direct
Do not know the
shot.
question. Barrier initialized.
Like now, I know how low the torque is, so I can just throw random shots in without going for a direct.
Lost to the cosmos.
Tracking movement is really important as well. Sigma. Because obviously using projectile based here, so you can't aim for where they're stood, you have to aim for where they're going. Like I know that the Sojourn wants to move forward because I'm pulling here, but she starts dropping back. I know she
What
wants to move
awaits
back.
us beyond this plane?
I'm gonna shield bumps this race.
Story really wasn't important at all, but as games
Collapsing the barrier. Uma Stukabater. The barrier appears. Brute force.
I want to drop my shield here, so I'll charge this and I'll give it 3 okay.
Sorry. Much improvement. A threat emerges. A fear emerges from the chaos.
Oh. Potentially. No.
That was not the expected result.
The ping could potentially play an issue. I do need to
Potential.
Das Universum singt für mich! My faith! To dust you shall return!
Barrier initialized.